Hey, I hope this finds you doing well. As we're going through Second Corinthians, there's just so many important truths and some maybe what we would think of as uncomfortable topics. Paul had talked about the role of giving, and in chapter number 10, he starts what might be called a defense of his ministry. There were people who would come after he had started a church and they would claim authority and apostleship, and they were doing so boasting about their credentials and their abilities and undermining him in order to manipulate the body. At the end of chapter 10, he says, let the one who boast in the Lord. For it is not the one who commends himself who is approved, but the one whom the Lord commends. And I think that's a wonderful remembrance, because the one who boasts is really drawing attention to themselves. And that's never a good thing, friends. There's really nothing for which we should boast. It's if there is good and there is a desire on our part for good works to be expressed, if our lives improve, if we get set free, it's never about us. It's always about Christ in us. So let's our boasting be in the Lord. The only thing that matters is that the Lord commends us, that no man. And then, he goes on and he identifies these false apostles and false teachers. Apparently, there was some accusation that he was, just in it for the money. And he reminds them that he had done them a disservice by not letting them support him, but that the church in Macedonia had supported him so that he could minister in Corinth. And it reminds us that we all have a privilege and a responsibility to support those who minister the love of Christ. In verse number 13, he just calls them out. He says, for such men are false apostles and deceitful workers, disguising themselves as apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. So it is no surprise if his servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness. Their end will correspond to their deeds. When I read that, I thought, wow, that's kind of harsh. But it reminds us and should help us to be a discerning people, that not everyone who goes out in the name of God is truly of God. We need to stop and listen and think and look. Does their message conform to Christ, or is it a distortion? When I look out at the world, I'm very troubled, because there are so many things that, especially in our American circles, where it seems like people give themselves titles, apostles and prophet, and instead of using them to manifest a ministry that looks and sounds like Jesus, they do it and use it to exalt themselves. It's about building a kingdom for themselves. They deceive people into giving them a lifestyle that is opulent and full of wealth. They try to convince people they need a new jet, and we've all seen these things, but we need to be discerning. because there is an enemy who is working in a spiritual dimension. Remember, Paul says, Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. Now, he might disguise himself, but he always manifests his true nature, for he's a murderer, a liar. He brings people into bondage, even though he disguises himself. And so too do his servants. I'm not telling you or appointing myself to be the person who goes around to expose all of the servants of Satan who disguise themselves as servants of God. But you be discerning. Does it look like Jesus? Does it sound like Jesus? Does it act like Jesus? Does it love like Jesus? Is it selfless and sacrificial, working for the benefit of others like Jesus? If not, withdraw yourself. No matter how appealing the message may be, they do disguise themselves as servants of righteousness, but you'll see that true righteousness, the expression of Jesus' life, is not there. So be discerning. This is not one of the more encouraging messages, but we need to be discerning people that, hey, not everyone that comes in the name of God is of God. Satan is still active. He's still working. He's still deceiving. And he still has servants out there calling themselves apostles and prophets and other names. But look deep. If it doesn't sound like Jesus, doesn't act like Jesus, and love like Jesus, it's not from Jesus. Well, you think about it, and I hope you have a great day. God bless.